Hello, and welcome back to the Growing as a Family podcast. I'm Joel.
And I'm Clarice.
And today we're going to be talking about dating to marry. Not like the direction, but more like dating with the intention to marry. Mm-hmm. And potentially what you're looking for in a spouse. And our thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. So join us and come along for the ride.
Yeah.
Do you want to start us off with kind of what today's kind of looking like in the dating world?
Yeah, so when we were kind of thinking about the topic, what came to my mind was how, culture views dating today. Mm. And I feel like it's viewed with a really low standard sometimes. And, with, hookup culture and so much divorce these days. I think they say, 50% of marriages end in divorce. And
yeah.
I don't think that changes much with Christians, too, which is just such a unfortunate statistic. But, yeah, I think a lot of people today just have, low standards, and they don't hold dating to a standard in itself. And so
a high regard.
Yeah, there's just a lot of dating around and...
Yeah. And it's kind of sad to see when you're a newly married couple and a lot of people make the comment of have the next, 5 years, enjoy them, but you might get divorced. And to me, that just doesn't sit well. And having that as almost like a standard of what is common for today, I don't like it at all. And it's very sad to see. And definitely when we were brainstorming, it came to our mind, and it was heavy on our hearts, and just being like, what can we do to change that statistic, and how can we help people and recommend things to do. And again, this is our take on it. This is not, we're not the best people out there, and you shouldn't hold our words next to Jesus. We're imperfect people trying to just offer advice in the ways that we have found work for us.
Yeah.
But going forward.
Well, I wanted to say one more thing. I feel like people, when they don't have marriage as their end goal, they're not exactly choosing spouse material in a partner that they're looking for. It's just, who's pretty, who is, super good looking and has who's popular, maybe even a lot of money. We're looking for wrong qualities,
very
shallow
worldly qualities.
Mm-hmm. And then, people date and they date around, and then it never really leads to marriage, and people either end up dating for, decades, or they end up dating tons of different people, and I think that a lot of that would be changed if we saw dating as a road to marriage, not dating as the end goal.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get scared at the word courtship, and it's almost like that, and it's dating with the intention to marry. Mm-hmm. And it's being very intentional about your hangouts, and it's intentional about what you're talking about, what you're doing, and not just she's with me for now. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's giving that second thought of, what, I want to get to know this person, and what does she cook at night, and if she cooks, and, what she cooks, and...
Well, cooking's not all of it.
Food's a big part, for me.
Whatever. I don't even think that's on your list.
No.
That was a terrible example. I just think, when you're dating someone, if you, don't like certain qualities about them, or if something really doesn't sit right with you, then maybe you need to have a conversation with that person and end things, to respect both of you, and...
If it's not going in the direction that you would like, if it's not meeting the standards that you would like, if they're not putting in the right amount of marriage material effort, that you would like, then maybe you need to reconsider with that person and leave, or talk with them heart to heart. I wouldn't just say up and leave them, ghost them. I wouldn't do that. I would have a Christ-like conversation with them and go over some of the things that you're expecting or wishing and talk about it. And if that doesn't change, then yeah, I would say you need to move on, because God has the perfect person for you. And if that person is not meeting the thoughts that you have in your head and the prayers that you've prayed for, then yeah, I would say you definitely need to reconsider.
Yeah. We can go. The dead silence. Are those all your thoughts?
I think so.
I had another thought, but I forgot it. Okay. So then we were also thinking about some of the benefits of dating to marry, like what are the...
What's the benefit, I want to know what's in for me. What's the benefit?
Our first one was that it's more serious and intentional of a relationship. It's going somewhere, especially as I feel like that's a big one for women, at least. I want to know, like, what's this guy's intentions with me? Like, is he pursuing me for marriage or just pursuing me for, like, my body? Or, it just helps your relationship be built on more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, the benefit of having a serious relationship is kind of talking about things that are important. Where is your faith at? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you even want to be in the country in 5 years? And talking about those things, because a lot of people that date, they end up, I kind of liked this person, or I talked to them, or I, hung out with them, and I guess we're kind of like a thing now. It's being intentional, and when you start dating, asking these questions. And I think that's it's a big benefit, because you're not wasting your time, these weeks just going out to dinner with someone and talking about the news. You're getting down to the nitty-gritties of that relationship and what you believe and what you think.
Yeah, I think you need to ask hard questions and not be afraid to even do that in the first couple of dates, If you ask a question that's a deal breaker for you, then, and they're like, no, I'm not a Christian or something, maybe that's, a reason for you to end things then
Reconsider.
and there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we also had another benefit is that there's less uncertainty where you're headed in the relationship. So you know that it's going somewhere. It's not just going to be 5 years down the road. Are we ever going to get engaged even?
Yeah. It's almost asking in a nice way to the other person, are you worth my time? Because my goal, even when I was looking for a spouse, was to have a family. And if the person that I was looking for wasn't going to bring that, then I don't want to waste my time in a respectful way with them. I want to find someone who wants to share that dream with me and to share a family and to grow that. And the Lord ultimately knows my heart and who he has picked out. But, I do need to make some judgment calls on my part in that area.
Yeah.
And another thing, men. When women ask hard questions, don't run away from them. I know a lot of men who have been asked hard questions and they just kind of go, oh, my 5-year plan, I don't have one. No, it's important for men to know where you're headed, because I think a lot of men are stuck. And I may have a podcast that I send out just to men talking about something kind of like that related. But it is an important thing for men to wow the ladies, to kind of take on that leadership role, to know where you're going and to have a 5-year plan and to project to the women, hey, I'm a person with a head on my shoulders. I want to, I want to go to this place. Are you willing to come with me? Or I would like to lead a family, if it's with you or not, this way. And I think that's really important for men to have that mentality.
Yeah. And usually women are big conversationalists, so don't be afraid to ask the questions, because a lot of men aren't going to ask that first, you know? Like, all the deep questions, like, sometimes we can be more surface level, you know? Just a lot of people get to know each other, like, on the, are you fun to hang out with basis, or do we like the same things? And a lot of that isn't a foundation to build a life together on, you know? You got to look for those deeper qualities. And
and don't scare them away on the first date. Don't ask them, hey, what is your 3-year plan, instead of the question, do you like to bowl? Because I think it is important to build a relationship with them and not scare them away. But again, there's a fine balance. And I can tell you what, I did not ask Clarice those heavy, big, deep questions. She definitely asked them to me, and I thought about them a lot. And I was like, maybe.
We were friends for a while, so we kind of knew where each other stood on some of the bigger topics. But then, it's also like when you hang out and you're not just going to parties or something, like you have time to sit and stare at each other, and you have to, you got to come up with topics to talk about. And often that's, wanting to learn more deeply about the other person.
Oh, yeah.
There's only so much you can talk about the weather. So.
Indeed. Another benefit that we had is there's no prolonged dating for years. It's kind of straight to the point. The end goal should be marriage, and people that date around for a lot long, that was not a sentence. People that date around for a long time often don't know where they're going. They often kind of are stuck where they're at, or they're kind of seeing what they can benefit out of the relationship. That's not where your thoughts should be. It should be, hey, do I like this person or not? And, we only dated for 10 months. I'm not saying that that's a quota, but it kind of showed Clarice that I was very intentional. It showed her parents I was very intentional. This is what I want to do. I want to, take care of her. So that's a big benefit.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to know where you're headed in your relationship. Another benefit we had was that when you date to marry, it glorifies God in your dating. Because, God doesn't have an institution of dating. He has a institution of marriage. And so then another benefit would be that you can find an amazing spouse.
Yes.
When you have high standards, then you're bound to find someone that meets those and is perfect. Or not perfect, but good for you.
Am I perfect? Whoa!
I think you're pretty perfect for me.
Thanks. I think the Lord does bless you, especially when you are prayerfully thinking about that person, that future person, and you're definitely pursuing what God has in store for you, and reading your Bible and meditating on Scripture. I think the Lord will bless you in that way. And some people might say, oh, well, her standards are too high. Like, there's no person for you. Guys, Clarice had a list that was like pages long. And I'm not saying that I fulfilled every single one of them. But if I looked at that before I was dating her, or even, wanting to pursue her, and I would be like, wow, some guy's going to have to be like Mr. Perfect to date her. Well, in reality, all she wanted was just a Christian man who glorifies the Lord. And I think that's what a lot of women want. And so if you're like, well, I can't have that perfect characteristic like this person has, I think you can. You need to be following in what the Lord has for you, and definitely reading your Bible, because I think that's a huge part of our lives, and we need to be glorifying God. So, and I think he'll honor it for sure. So
that was really good.
Yes. Now we kind of are going into what we were looking for in a spouse. I think you created a list as well before me.
I always had a running list, like, in my head. I don't know.
Most women do.
I kind of knew what I was looking for. Like, off the bat, I would look like, oh, they're attractive. I hope I like everything about them. But It was actually, it was kind of different with each other, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't initially attracted to Joel in, like a dating sense.
I'm not that good looking. No, it's true. It's true.
That is not true. But
oh, yeah.
that just wasn't in my mind at that time. But you, like, met a lot of the other, like, you met a lot of things on my list just without me thinking about it that way. And then once I started developing feelings for you, I was like, oh, he already meets a lot of my, you call it criteria.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's fun to learn about the other person and then, put them up against your list, but also have a little, room for improvement. And
Yeah, and I would say, like, having a list is very helpful for me. I actually wrote mine when I was 14. I got kind of over a, like, I don't know if you want to call it, like, a middle school breakup. And
Oof.
and some of my closest friends and peers were like, you know what, you should write a list of what you want in a girl or a woman and write them down because it can help you be guided in that dating aspect, and it can help you not just date around. And when you look at a woman and you kind of get to know them, you're like, okay, they don't meet my list at all. Then you know that person, it probably isn't for you. You're not justifying yourself of like trying to fit this person that you found attractive into your list. It kind of helps you weed out those people that you might find attractive on the outside.
Yeah, plus you also often have rose-colored glasses on when you first start dating. So having something handwritten down, this is what I want, it brings you back to reality. And then once you, put this person up against your list, then you can kind of be like, no, I did write this down, and they're clearly they clearly don't want kids or something. And I know those things can all change, like have a little leeway, forgiveness in your list, but there's a lot of
deal breakers.
Yeah, there's a lot of deal breakers.
Some of the things on my list should be obvious, but loves the Lord with all her heart. I wanted someone who put God at the center of her life, and not just someone who said, I'm a Christian, I love everybody, and I'm supposed to just, I don't know, go to church on Sunday. No, I wanted someone who, like, clearly, even, any day of the week, you could be like, that person's a Christian.
Yeah, you wanted someone to pursue God.
Amen, to pursue God.
And I'll share mine. We can go back and forth, maybe.
Yeah.
But my first one was also Christian. I feel like that is the basis for everything, that a strong, godly man, that usually has to bleed into other aspects of his life. So that's a foundation that I was definitely looking for, and someone that, just doesn't proclaim that they're a Christian but lives it out, and you can see it in their day-to-day life and their decisions and how they talk about things.
I think that's a big part, because people will talk negatively about Christians or positively about Christians, and just by being in, like, the same room, you can almost tell who's Christian and who's not. It's almost like it's the Holy Spirit, And one of the things that came to my mind when I was younger was Proverbs 18:22, and it says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord." I think that, like, that is what I was looking for in having Christ at the center of her life and finding a godly wife. So. The next one that I had was that wanted a family. There's some people that don't really want families or want big families or want to wait, or I just wanted someone who's really family oriented, loves her family, wants her own family. It was very attractive to me when Clarice said that she is very close with her family and that she wants a family.
That wasn't the next one I had, but I also had that one, so I'll go ahead and say, I wanted a family man, someone that was close with his siblings, his mom, his
brothers.
Yeah. Joel has all brothers. So.
I do.
And I have all sisters.
More on that later. Okay.
But yeah, I wanted someone that liked kids, you know. It's sweet to see a guy like around his niece and nephews and like how he cares for them and has fun with them. It's like, oh, that's a family man right there. I can picture him being a good dad.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and share my other one.
Go for it.
I wanted someone that was strong, hardworking, and had leader qualities, because I feel like that's key, you know, in a marriage, is having a man that, at least for me, I wanted a guy that could, you know, fix things. He wanted to work on our home, on our property. I wanted a guy that worked hard at his job or helped people out, and then, you know, was a leader, because I want him to lead me and our family well.
She's putting me on the hot seat. She's convicting me. But in good ways.
Man up.
I wanted someone who would homeschool, because I knew a lot of people that were homeschooled. I was homeschooled myself, and to me that was just something that I held in high regard. I got to spend a lot of time with my mom because I was homeschooled, and I want that for my kids. And so I wanted to find someone who was open to homeschooling. And this is like an area that I had a little bit of grace on. Like if they weren't homeschooled, I wasn't like, all right, that's it. See you, date's over. I was very much open to it. And Clarice, we didn't talk about it right away, but she was definitely open to it. And I liked it.
Yeah, I was public schooled. So it's definitely new territory, but, you know, I'm willing to dive in.
She's a strong woman. She can figure it out, I think.
My next point, or my next item on my list, or whatever, was I wanted a man that was driven and had goals, especially like career goals. You know, a man that is going to provide for me. And, I mean, Joel wasn't on the career path that he's on now when we first started dating. Oh. But I must have just looked over that.
She definitely did. I worked at an arcade place. We built custom arcades for people, and I was the, you guessed it, video game tester. At the end of the line, I would test all of the games to make sure they worked. Yes, it's every boy's dream to play video games at work and then
get paid for it.
And yes, I was dating and engaged to her at that time, and I don't know what her dad seen in me, but I told him, yes, I work at a custom arcade place, and kind of leaving out the part where I was the video game tester. I didn't do anything but that. But yeah, she had a lot of grace, and she's seen the potential.
Well, hopefully. I saw that you had career goals. Like, Joel always had that 5-year plan, and it was attractive to me, like, what he had in his plan. And he wanted a career that he could build. Like,
I did, yeah.
You know, build the rest of your life on.
Yeah, which is what I'm in now. I switched halfway through to be an electrician, and thank you, Clarice, for seeing the growth. And my kind of last thing that I have for today is I really wanted someone with a servant heart, which I think Clarice is really good at. She's very, very good at seeing where help is needed and helping out, and whether it's cooking or volunteering at church or just helping other people's babies or offering advice. She's very good at that, and I was really attracted to it because she opened her home to a lot of people, a lot of friends, and even her car. She used to be the bus driver in college. She had like 5 or 6 people she would drive around most days because she was the only one with a van, and I think that was really cool, and I just thought highly of her in that, and yeah,
that's sweet. I did want to say, like, you know, we had longer lists and stuff, but
we did.
These were some of the key points that we each had, and I just wanted to point out that it's okay to be picky and okay to have deal breakers, you know, because those are the things that really matter to you, and a lot of things people either have that quality or they don't.
Right.
And, you know, you don't want to just be with someone hoping that they'll change and trying to get them to change. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this person's not a Christian, but I'm going to take them to church every week, and hopefully they'll come around to it because I really want to make them into my perfect person. You know, it doesn't work like that. And of course, you know, you can take some time away from each other, and maybe that person will come to know the Lord, and you can go from there. But, you know, you don't want to just date with these expectations and hope that they'll meet them eventually, you know?
And sometimes they will in certain areas, but I do agree. You should not flirt to convert. You should definitely check their life and how they're growing and what's happening, because I think that people do change, and definitely giving some time for them and letting the Lord grab a hold of their heart too. But yeah, don't get dead set on someone thinking you can change them.
Yeah, at least on those big qualities that really matter for when you're married.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Should we do the bonus now?
Oh, I forgot about the bonus.
Would you like the bonus? The bonus that we have is the first impressions of each other.
Oh my.
What did you think of me first?
Well, I kind of hinted at it because I said I didn't really like you at first in a romantic sense. But I remember, well, we met at a Christian ministry at college.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking that Joel was a lot older than he was.
Mm.
This was like the main one. So not a lot older. Like, I didn't think he was like 30 or something. But, you know, this age range of college kids is like 18 to 22, you know? And there was even some older there. And I had a lot of older friends because my sister went there with me, and I kind of became friends with her friends.
Mm.
And so when I met Joel, I thought he was really cool. He had a lot of fun, like, talents and interests, like snowboarding. I think it was
definitely, it was winter.
It was that time of year, so we saw some videos of him snowboarding, and I was like, wow, he's really adventurous. He liked to travel, and so I just thought he was cool, and I thought he was older than he was, like, maybe, I think I thought you were like 4 years older than you were.
I think so.
Because I met Joel when he was 17.
Yeah.
So that's another reason I wasn't like, oh, yeah, I really want to be with this guy. You know, I was almost 20.
Yep.
But, or was I?
No, you were 20. Yeah. You turned 20.
Yeah. But I thought you were really cool.
Yeah. Well, and my first impression of her, I think that when I first seen her, I was like, oh, that girl is really pretty. And I was instantly attracted to her. Now, I was 17. I was turning 18 soon, but I don't know. I guess I carried myself like an older person. I was at a college ministry, so people thought I was college age. And I did graduate high school early. I graduated when I was 17 and a half. So I had been graduated from high school, just not college age yet. But when I first seen her, I was like, oh yeah, that would be fun to get to know her and just, talk.
Hopefully she's everything I ever dreamed of.
Hopefully she meets my list. But yeah, then I kind of just let it go, and I ended up meeting her sister. And her sister is very talkative and outgoing, and I'm pretty talkative and outgoing. And so we talked for a long time, and we got to know each other. And I think it was one of the first nights that I seen you, I met her because I met her older sister, and I found out that they were sisters like probably 2 weeks later after like seeing them and meeting them. And then like a couple weeks later we'd see each other again, and I was like, hanging out with them, and I was like, wait, you guys are sisters? And so it was fun getting to know her, but I definitely thought she was very pretty, the first impression of her.
Did you always have feelings for me?
I did I did develop feelings pretty fast. And then I realized that I needed to do some work on myself, and I wasn't the man that I wanted to be in a relationship. And so I kind of took a step back from everything the summer after I met you, and kind of thought about everything, prayed about things, and did some Bible studies and got a mentor. And then, you came back and I developed more feelings for you. So
Well, good. 'Cause
basically,
now we're here.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that Joel was pursuing me, because, I mean, that's another attractive thing in a man, is not in a creepy pursuing way, but,
Yeah.
you know, he knew what he wanted, and
That's what I wanted.
and he was very intentional, which was
Yes.
very sweet. I loved all our dates, getting to know each other.
Yes.
It's fun when you find out when you agree on, like, little things.
Yeah. Like, you cook your eggs the same? What? Yes.
I'm gonna marry this person. It's like finding out those little bonus things that you're like, wow, we would work together even better.
Yep.
But, you know, those things that don't have to be on your list.
Right. But they're just fun when you meet the right person that God has in store for you.
Yeah.
Well, that was our podcast, and that was our bonus that we had. We hope you enjoy it, and if you have any questions or comments, just let us know down below if you're watching on YouTube. And anything else that you have to say?
No. I think that's all. Happy dating. No.
Happy dating. See ya.
Bye.